Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome, ladies. This is our Chodesh Tov. It's the Chodesh Tov program from CyberSem, where we welcome a new speaker each month just before the new month is starting. So Sivan, I should know exactly when Rosh Chodesh is, but it's to the beginning of the week, because at the end of the week, I think it's Tuesday, because
I think it is Tuesday.
because ER was Sunday and Monday, so it always moves a day in the week. So Mir Hashem, next Tuesday will be Rosh Chodesh Sivan, at the beginning of the month, where we receive the Torah. And every month is special. Every month has super things for us to learn. And unfortunately, we have this month, the topic that Dr. Glogauer is going to be discussing is based on a really sad event. But she is an awesome person to share Rabbi Wallerstein's legacy, what he stood for in his life. And I think that as the time of Matan Torah comes closer, and we go through, as we relive the Yontif, every Yontif that we have, we are gaining and regaining more energy that even than they had at the original time. There's an increase, there's a new revelation of the energy of that Yontif each year that passes by. So the energy that we gain of the newness and the freshness and the recommitment to our Torah learning that we gained, that we were exposed to when Bnei Yisrael originally received the Torah on Har Sinai, now we are going to gain a new revelation of that as we go through the holiday of Shavuos. And there's always what to learn. Unfortunately, it's so short, but it's jam-packed with energy and jam-packed with messages. And my friend Chaya, I think I tell everybody is my friend when I introduce them, but everybody is my friend. But Chaya and I are walking partners. And the area, the things that we can discuss. So I can tell you that she's been educated in different places, but her mark, her footprint has taken her from Western Canada to Southern United States, all the way to Australia, to Sydney, and back to Toronto. And from the years of experience in working with different people of her psychology needs and her psychology addressing, helping people from vast of different needs. I think her appreciation, I think the Rabbi Wallerstein legacy is so in tune with who she is as a person. And so you'll hear the genuineness of what she shares with us, because that's truly who she is. And as she shares her Torah with her, she doesn't give anybody a lecture when she's in therapy, but her Torah comes out in the very essence and the fiber of who she is. I will not waste any more time. And Chaya, please take it away.
Okay, thank you, Javi, my dear walking buddy. Okay, so please God, I'm about to share my screen. Let's see if that works. Did that work?
Awesome.
Okay, wow. Okay, cool. So if and when you ever come to my house, when it's a working day, you'll see that the background of my slides is actually very similar to my business cards, because I just happen to like this kind of teal gray thing going on here. Thank you everybody for coming. The Monday morning when I woke up and someone had sent me that Rabbi Wallerstein passed away, Zichron Tzaddik Livracha, I could not believe it. I noticed, because I follow him on Torah Anytime, that there weren't shiurim for a while. And I thought he'd just sort of gone stealth and had devoted everything only to his maistos. To find out that he had passed away, I mean, it's a couple of years where Hashem is taking Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Zichron Tzaddik Livracha, Rabbi Kanievsky, Rav Kook, like the people that are being taken. I just daven that all of these powerful leaders of our generation and generations before have something big going on to reveal the full geula, because the losses on this earth are very, very hard to manage. I'll go to slide number 2. Greatness is something that Rabbi Wallerstein talked about in a talk that I can't find. I've discovered that there's over 800 of his talks on Torah Anytime, and I have decided I will let you know if I get invited back for another Rosh Chodesh. I will let you know what my progress is on going through all 800 of the shiurim, because I'm determined to find the 2 that I really wanted to talk to you about. But I think because of the impact that they made on me, I'll be able to give over at least my understanding of them. So I feel like we need to think about our own personal greatness. And let's start at the very beginning. Have you ever noticed that teeny tiny babies, that teeny tiny little people just have, like in the French joie de vivre, that they just love life, that you can have word games with them, you can clap your hands and they're ecstatic. What's part of that? It's the unconditional love. It's the fact that they know that they can do things and that it's appreciated. There's curiosity, there's our encouragement, and that's just what happens, is that this beauty, this happiness is there. But sometimes, and I'm afraid it's more often than not, something happens to each and every one of us that crushes that spirit, or dampens that spirit, and we spend the rest of our lives, some of us, trying to get that back. When I got my Torah Anytime newsletter at the end of the week of Rabbi Wallerstein's passing, the entire Torah Anytime, I'm not sure if anybody else got it, was all Torah of Rabbi Wallerstein's. And it started with the V'ahavta l'reacha kamaycha. And I think that that's a timeless message. And I'm very grateful to my husband for helping me out with not only the technical, but like the meat of this presentation, because he reminded me of this slide, that true love in V'ahavta l'reacha kamaycha, the end of that pasuk is Ani Hashem. So if we are thinking that V'ahavta l'reacha kamaycha is that love your neighbor as yourself, it seems like it is a mitzvah of a person between and another person. So where does the Ani Hashem come? And so that doesn't make a lot of sense. But my husband reminded me that the way that pasuk goes is that what it really is that it is such a big deal for a person to love their neighbor as themselves, that Hashem wants to be part of that at any time. But my point is going to be coming to that when we love ourselves, then Hashem has to be part of that, because who we're loving in ourselves is our Torah essence, our godly essence in ourselves. Okay, the slide should go down. Let's see what's going on. Our slideshow is frozen. Okay, there we go. There. So here we are. We have to love our fellow as much as we love ourselves. But have any of us experienced that in this day and age, do we actually love ourselves? We have this voice thing going on, and I'm on purpose putting it on the right side of my head because if I get a chance, I will explain that. Do we really love ourselves? Are we actually kind to ourselves? And so if how we feel about ourselves gets put upon other people, right? Because if we treat other people like we treat ourselves, then sometimes that may not be a very, very good thing. So the next part of it is, why does the pasuk actually say re'echa and not chavercha, right? Like your friend. What's the root of reyacha? It's actually ra, bad. So that's a very interesting take. And Rabbi Wallerstein points out that if you love the person who is bad to you, which means if you even love yourself, if you're bad to yourself, it's actually because it's really good, because there is no bad in the world, because everything in the world is Hashem. In my WhatsApp status, I have the statement, it's always good in the end, and if it's not good, it's not the end. I'm gonna, right now is probably the time when I'll reference Rabbi Wallerstein's the first idea that I wanted to reference from him, which was a time when he stood up and he was lecturing and talking about the fact that why and how could any of the teenage girls that he worked with, that he saved one by one, why would they think that they were anything else but great? And why can't all of us be great? Not greater than anybody else, but why can't each of us be great? Because we do have a neshama, we have a soul, we have a piece of Hashem in each of us. So if we're not striving to connect to that piece of ourselves, then how are we making our difference in the world? So if you love this friend of yours, whoever this friend is, good or bad, who is your friend? Is it possible to be your own best friend? Do you know how? I mean, I think we all know how to be a best friend to someone else. Do we know how to be a best friend to ourselves? Do we know how to give ourselves the benefit of the doubt? Do we know how to give ourselves encouragement? Do we know how to notice the positive things that we do? Do we know how to know when the pop-ups are on in our brain that are possibly a bit negative because they're trying to keep us safe, but they're really not doing a very good job? Sometimes they're just keeping us from actualizing our greatness. Can we X out those pop-ups, and can we be our own best friend? Okay. Oh, I see. I have to be there. Okay. So as I said, can we give the benefit of the doubt to ourselves and be our own BFF? Does it make sense to say that I am great because I have a piece of Hashem in me? I hope it does. I know that doesn't make it possible necessarily to act that way, but maybe it's a starting place that if we use the messages from Hannah Margulies from last month's Rosh Chodesh to meditate on an idea like this and see ourselves in situations where we're being great, then it can change things. Rabbi Wallerstein, I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with the kind of person that he is. He would see a need and he would do something about that need. One of the biggest things that he did, in my opinion, was notice that girls who were suffering from drug addiction and alcohol addiction and abuse and all of those horrible things, when Orthodox girls were being sent to the only places that were rehab centers that they could be sent to, places like in Utah, where there were, it was a non-Jewish place. And so what were they serving? Bacon and eggs and those kinds of things. And he went and visited some of those girls that he sent there. And he realized, oh my gosh, how am I going to help these girls to heal if they're eating treif food? Because we all know that our spirituality is also related to what we take in physically. And so he opened a ranch in upstate New York, a horse ranch, which became a Orthodox Jewish kosher place where girls in our communities, if chas v'shalom, they needed it, could go and heal without having to compromise anything of their Yiddishkeit. And for me, that means that because he got a lot of criticism and he got a lot of pushback, and he just knew it because, and if you listen to his shiurim, he was doing all of this because Hashem said it was the right thing to do, because he knew there was a need. There was a story where he asked a Rav about I want to make a ranch for the girls, and this Rav did not say yes. The next year he came back and he said, I need to make a ranch for these girls. And the Rav said yes. What's the difference? The difference is if you know that there's a need, that Hashem is going to fulfill that need. So if we need to smile at the person next to us, Hashem is and we're not used to being extroverts, Hashem's going to give us the ability to smile at that person. If we need to be our most powerful selves, Hashem is going to help us to be our most powerful selves. Okay, 1 second. There we go. Let's go back to, did you notice my deep breath? Let's go back to the basics. In the morning, we all say a blessing. We say the Asher Yatzar blessing, where we talk about all the things that work in our bodies. But the next blessing that we say is about that Hashem breathed our neshama into us. So I think it's an amazing thing to realize that if we work on even just our breathing, because our breathing can help to center us. Our breathing, if we take long, slow, deep breaths in through our nose, if we can, and out through our mouths, because Hashem also made it that when you breathe out through your mouth, you breathe out anxiety. How cool is that? When you breathe out through your mouth, you're breathing out anxiety and nervousness. Here we go. So when you breathe in, though, you're breathing, your breath is your neshama, which I just think is the coolest thing. And the next thing is, has anybody ever noticed that it's really, really hard to blow up a balloon? Why is it when you go, you all of a sudden run out of breath? Because you're blowing out. You're not supposed to blow out your Hashemness in that way. You're not supposed to stick it into something and close it up. You're actually doing the opposite of what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to breathe in your Hashemness and give out to the world with your strength. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay. The other thing that is really, really, really important, if any of us is willing to take on a challenge of being great, even 1, 2, 3, 4 moments more in their day, it's really important to understand, and this is a revolution that I also want to start. Sorry, I don't know how I got back there. Let's go backwards there. Oh, here we are. Okay, there. When our brains are growing, it feels uncomfortable. For example, if you happen to exercise and you do a bunch of push-ups, and say you are good at doing 10 push-ups, but then the next day you do 11 push-ups, then your body is going to say, Chaya, what are you doing? I don't think I can do 11 push-ups, by the way. 11 push-ups, and your body is screaming and you're going, that is sore. But are you going to say, some of us will, but we will usually go back to it. Are we going to say, not doing that anymore? Unless, and I'm not talking about injuring ourselves. I'm talking about our bodies growing and our muscles growing and our muscles feeling like they're straining to get stronger. The same thing happens in our brains, but we don't think about it that way. So when your kids or you are learning something new and you feel like, it's right there, or there's a shear like a YY Jacobson or Yossi Paltiel shear, and you know that it's right up there and you just can't grasp it, but you're really trying to, it feels uncomfortable in your brain. That discomfort is the growth of your brain. It's literally brain cells growing new axons to be able to forge a new path. Rabbi Wallerstein, another one, I wasn't going to say this one, but I remember him talking about when people talk about addiction, that when you stop an addiction, what you've done is you've literally put a roadblock in your brain saying, no, not going down that road. But that's part of the reason why there can be relapses, chas v'shalom, because you've closed off this road, you've made other roads, but if too many circumstances that remind you of this road come into play, all of a sudden that roadblock can just get disintegrated and we relapse, God forbid. We can get ourselves back because the other pathways are there, because we've got mechanisms to do it, but it is a very powerful force that what goes on in our brains, and we have the ability to do things about it and try to make things better. Now, I'm not sure if any of you listened to Rabbi Wallerstein that much, but there was a point in time where one of the things that for a very long time, I found challenging when I was listening to him was that there were often times where he would give some pretty serious mussar to people. And he related in one of the videos that I couldn't find before tonight, that he went one year to, I think it was a makobel, and he had Ornava going, and he had his seminary going, and he had the ranch going, and he was thinking, I've really done a lot of really good things for Klal Yisrael. I think my report card is going to be pretty good. So he says this over and over, and he goes to this makobel, and he's sitting there, and he says, Harav, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and then he's waiting for the good news, right? The Rav closes his eyes for a really long time. And then he opens his eyes and says something to the effect of, because I didn't see the video for a really long time, but it was something to the effect of, you're not being kind to all of Hashem's kinderlach. I'll say it again. You are not being kind to all of Hashem's kinderlach. So Rabbi Wallerstein Z was an incredibly powerful person. And so if he gave mussar, it was mussar. But from that moment forward, I heard the tone of every shiur after that was completely different. He found a way to take that to heart. And from that moment on, he only treated almost everyone with love, benefit of the doubt and love. So here's a man who he could have not done any more tshuva because he'd done so much. And yet when he heard a message that he needed to change, he immediately said, I don't know what he said to himself, but he changed, and you could see it and you could hear it. So why am I saying the time is now? Because that's true. At any moment, we can stop what we're doing. We can look at the things that are stopping us from being great and re-energize ourselves to be the great person that we are. And it's not being, as I said, it's not being greater than anybody else. And I'm not saying that we're supposed to be gaivadik. We're supposed to know that there is a mission that each and every one of us have in this world, and we have the neshama power to energize and make that happen. I'm also grateful to my son because he's learning a lot of Breslov Hasidus, and I looked at the first chapter of Pirkei Avos, and I was struck by the idea that we're in a situation where, one second, im ein ani, right? In Perek, oh wait a second, I've skipped ahead. So let me rewind a little bit. This is the Breslov Pirkei Avos commentary that's saying that if I am, now it is I am the one and there is no God like me. If we focus on that now and we can begin anew at each moment, then that's when I wanted to go into the next slide. So I will do that. That if we say im ein ani, if we just stop there, if I don't have me, then we don't have anything else. Then we can't even be for ourselves. We have to find our personal power. We have to believe in our personal power, because otherwise we're not able to actualize what we need to in this world. Rabbi Wallerstein also says in many different places that each and every one of us is, I think it's called a bein zekunim, a child of an old age, a child that a parent has waited for for years, and this is their only child. Every single one of us is an only child to Hashem. That really is possible. You know in yourselves, if any of you are parents, that there are times when you look at your child and that is only you and that child, and that makes all the difference to that child. And many of us don't have parents who believed in us, but we have Hashem, the ultimate parent, in ourselves. So we have to know that Hashem believes in us, even if we haven't had a lot of people in the world believing in us. Let's see if we can make the slide move. Okay. I very often ask people to define for me, what does brave mean? I think that the most noble definition of brave is that you might be scared, but you're going to do it anyways. And it is very scary to step out of your comfort zone. I'm doing that tonight because in my backstory, I really want to be as impactful in my life as Rabbi Wallerstein has been in his life. And I know that my mission is to do it individually, usually, but I wonder whether or not I'm supposed to be doing it in bigger ways. And that's going to take a lot of brave, because I am going to be scared, but I'm going to have to do it anyways. Even this talk, I had to be brave to do this talk, but I'm doing it anyways. And I really am trying to connect to the fact that Hashem is right here with me, making a difference in Mirz Hashem for at least one person in the world. So I might have gone too fast. So I'm just asking you to, in whatever way you can, join me in being brave enough to believe in yourself. And thank you.
Please,
Javi,
unshare please your screen, and I'm
okay.
going to open up the floor for questions. Thank you. Ladies, are there any questions that anybody has? We have, Baruch Hashem, a beautiful, beautiful turnout. I'm grateful for everybody that's come. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts that we can share as a group, that an individual, one of you, or anybody could enhance the conversation with? Any questions points that Chaya has mentioned that you'd like clarity on, or share something personal or not personal under the guise of a pseudonym? Anybody?
Hi.
Yes, please.
Rachel. Hi. Thank you, Dr. Chaya. It's really a great message. And thank you, everyone, for being here, for organizing this. Javi, I think it's such a beautiful message. I think when we are, I think my daughters have called me a lot, my son, my family, when I am being, if I do negative self-talk out loud, or, and I just stopped doing that a long time ago, because I know it's not a good role model for others and for myself, and that I need to be more positive. I'm so positive with other people, but if I'm not reflecting that within myself, then it's a double standard. And they were catching me in on that. And I was really proud of them. You're right. Like, so just so that we hear ourselves say something and we're like, that is a really good, they pay attention to how we speak about ourselves, and how that reflects upon how we feel about ourselves, and how that impacts how other people, what messages we're giving our children in that. And so I do feel more, I think when I'm feeling purposeful and connected to my purpose, and I do feel good about myself, and I feel grateful and blessed that I'm able to, bring Shabbos in with my family. Like, I feel proud of what I'm taking on, and those are really, I was probably very uncomfortable with those kinds of feelings for a long time, and now I just feel like, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. That's okay, because that's what we want for our children. Hashem loves you. Hashem loves you, and I did it, and feel good about our achievements, and but and also being humble. And how do you balance that?
Chaya, could you please address that piece that Rachel just brought up, the contrast between humility, that it's not a lack of humility when one looks at oneself in a positive way? I think that's a huge message and worthwhile hearing about. Have I put you on the spot?
No, it's okay. I can't say I'm an expert on it, but I think that if we look to, obviously we have to look to Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Because Moshe was considered the humblest person in the world, and yet he was the most powerful leader in the world. So if Moshe, I can't imagine that Moshe didn't let the godliness in himself shine in order to be able to lead the Jewish people. That had to have been what happened. So I think that we have a voice in our head that sort of says, are you being humble? Are you being gaivadik? But if you're trying to be genuine, I think it's almost impossible, if you're being genuine, to be not humble.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Adi, in the chat, Adi posted that humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. And one of the lines that Chaya and I coined, we decided on one of our walks that we were going to write a book, and it's going to be called "It's Not All About Me." And where in life, so originally I thought that we were going to make this book and it's going to be just blank, because everybody can write their own book about where they put themselves. Their perspective was one of, where am I needed for? How can I answer someone, answer a child, answer a spouse, answer a dear friend, anybody, in a way that the center of the discussion is not me, it's I'm thinking about you. What will help you? How can I be a support for you? It's how can I be a support, because that's who I am. I'm standing in my own shoes. But the focal point is not me, it's you. So humility, I like this line that Adi posted, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. I'm not the center of the world. I'm here to help out. I'm here to be a support for you, and I'm happy doing it. And when I think that when we share that message, I think the concept of arrogance, of gaiva, doesn't even come into play. It's not even an issue. It's a non-issue. This is the way I address people. This is the way I interact with people. And I think that's, it's not all about me. I even made a bracelet, INAAM, just a little reminder, a little small thing. And it's not all about me. And, you know, sometimes we try to get pulled. Sometimes we feel that we're getting pulled into a situation and we need to put ourselves, or I can say, I need to put myself into it. But this message of it, it's not all about me, centers me. And I work, it's just a personal thing. I work to make that almost, I pray that I make that my default reaction, that when I have to react to someone, I'm not going to give a message that I'm on center stage. I'm just here. What I say to you is a reflection of what I care for you, and what I pray for you. Just a thought. Any other questions, thoughts, Chaya?
It kind of reminds me of two really important things that the Chavos HaLevavos, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but it bears repeating. The Chavos HaLevavos reminds us that we think that our interactions with other people are actually interactions with other people. And we think that if someone says something not nice to us or rude to us, or gives us like a word of a pachin punim, right, of slap in the face, that's about the relationship between each of us. But the Chavos HaLevavos brings, it's not about this at all. It's about this. It's between me and Hashem. That person who gave me that slap that they gave, that's between them and Hashem. When I receive that slap, I have to say, okay, Hashem, what is the lesson in this for me? And then it's tiny, and it's a suggestion, Javi. If we can pause and respond versus react, we're almost always going to be in a better situation. The difference between, if we react, like it's like that, right? And then we might say something that we wish we never would have said. But if we can count to 5, or if we can take a deep breath, or we can say, okay, I know this happened for me. This is between me and Hashem. How am I going to respond here, not react here?
Tremendous message. Tremendous message. And I think that the thought of Chaya is really going to focus us on seeing that our relationship and what we're meant to be doing in this world to achieve greatness and to achieve just our own shleimus, our own self-fulfillment. We can't do more if we think that we're shmatas. The only way that we can move forward in our goals for what Hashem created us for. So a yontif is a birthday for that yontif, but each time we eat, we all get a birthday each year. Trust me, we do. And a birthday is the message that Hashem saw that the world couldn't continue without me. And that is a huge, huge thing. The world needs my avoda. The world needs what I'm set out to do. And so maybe the huge challenge that we're facing of feeling decent about ourselves, that we're up to the challenge, we're up to learning how to be brave, because the job is so important. The Yetzer Hara to it is also going to be equally and opposite big. So just by looking at the humongousness of the fear or the apprehension or whatever word we want to use of moving forward in this way of trying to just fulfill the godly purpose and seeing what we're supposed to be doing is a message from above, that that hopefully, I think that's Chaya's main message. And I always write notes so I have something to conclude with. But I think that's Chaya's message, that when we see that the relationship is between me and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and in that way, really, when she said in the beginning about Ve'ahavta l're'acha kamocha, that there's an Indian of Ra, of evil, of bad, Ve'ahavta l're'acha, who's the person that we're loving? It's our friend, but that word for friend has the word Ra, comes from the word Ra, comes from the word bad. So we should not be thinking of our friend in the term of Ra. They are presenting to us a challenge that's there to bring out the best in us. And as Chaya said, it's there to bring out the message that the whatever the person is saying to me that I find a little irritating is really a message from Hashem. It's Hashem wants me to do something differently. So that re'acha, that person that's bringing me Ra, is really my friend, because they're bringing me to a place of where I can connect to Hashem and really fine tune what He wants me to do. If the other person has brought me Ra, that's between them and Hashem. I don't have to take care of that. That's not my business. I have to look between me and Hashem and say, Hashem, what do you want from me? How do you want me to learn how to handle this better, how to take this better? I don't know. This is something that I think about often, and Chaya and I talk about often on our walks.
Indeed.
So because it's an avoida, it's something that all of us work on, and we talk about this all the time. So
And
whatever I
Rachel,
say, our interactions.
Rachel, you said Dion has her hand up. Dion,
Oh.
did you want to say something?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Camera on. It was beautifully, you both spoke very beautifully, so thank you. And I always believe that we always get the message we need at that time, so I do appreciate what you were speaking about. Chaya, are you able to repeat what you said about blowing up a balloon and taking that breath? It was just so beautiful, and I didn't have time to write it down, so I don't know if this is being recorded and you can send me the recording, or if you can repeat it.
It's going to be recorded, and I'm going to be on YouTube, which is like, okay. So yeah. So, okay. My experience is that, like, we say it every morning in our davening, Hashem, that we breathe in our neshama every single day. And that's wow. So when we're breathing in, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be breathing in. So when we blow, it's exhausting, because it's the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be breathing in godliness, not blowing it out. And I think that actually is a relationship to the gaiva thing, because if we're blowing out our hot air, it isn't working. We're supposed to actually breathe in, say, Hashem, what do you want from me in this situation? I will shine with your shine, and then we shine. But if we're blowing out our hot air, it's not going to go any. It exhausts us, and it doesn't land properly.
So what do we do with the exhale? Because I usually breathe in love or breathe in light and breathe out stress. So what was the exhale part, please?
So exhaling is far different from like blowing out a balloon, right? Blowing up a balloon. But Hashem has also set it up, and I've checked this out with the scientists, that for whatever reason, when we breathe in and we fill up our chest, but we breathe out, we literally are breathing out anxiety. We are literally cleansing, like, you know, like we know we're blowing out the carbon dioxide, right? But what we're also breathing out is anxiety chemicals and nervous chemicals and worried chemicals. We're literally blowing them out of ourselves. So even if you forget to breathe in, long, slow, deep breath, breathes out the anxiety.
Thank you.
No worries.
Ladies, any more questions? This has been really awesome. I've enjoyed Does anybody else want to say anything? I don't want to miss anything. And I'm sorry I missed Dion before, but is there anybody else that wants to say anything or add or just comment to close off our Grace? Thank you very much. So I'm going to thank Chaya, and yes, she's been here before, and Be'ez Hashem, you will be here again. And to keep sharing with us your tremendous, tremendous insights from your merging of appreciating your psychology with Torah lessons from special people that we have the benefit to have known, or even to have listened to on Torah Anytime. I encourage everybody to listen to the Shiurim on Torah Anytime. And I just want to conclude with one last thought that I did write down as Chaya was talking. It says when our kids do go to have their bar mitzvah, this is how I know it from. It says there's a Mishnah that says Shlosha Shutfim Ba'adam, that there are three partners in the creation of a person. What are they? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, Avi, Ve'imai. So when you think about it, that there are three partners to making to you that brought you into being, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Avi Ve'imai, Hashem and both parents, then we see that Hashem's, I don't know if he has a third, but let's even think we're physical people and we understand things in numbers and finite, but it's okay. That at least the third, that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that came in his creation of us, he is rooting for us. So we can take that Mishnah and think about it and breathe it into ourselves, that always Hashem is there for us, as he was one of the three partners of our creation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there are three partners. Shutaf is a partner. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Avi Ve'imai. Have a very wonderful, wonderful Yontif. Again, if anybody wants to be on the mailing list, I'd appreciate it in the chat. I'm going to turn off the recording, but I'm going to keep it on so I can write down the names that we have. I welcome you, Amir Hashem, next month at the same point in the month. And so next month is going to be Tammuz. We're working towards Ayar Chekala in the summer, where we'll have 3 successive months. Well, 3 successive Rosh Chodeshes. It'll be Elul, Tishrei, and Cheshvan to close off the Yontif season. And we'll have even more than just that beginning of the month, but there'll be additional classes in preparing us for that season of the year. So please keep coming, and I welcome you all. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful Yontif.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chaya, again very much for gracing us with your tremendous insights. All appreciated, and all the best.
Good Chodesh.
A good Chodesh.